Welcome back to the channel, boys. It's a Link Up podcast with your faithful lads, Durs and Ephraim. Arsenal no longer can get the quadruple. They lost the Carabao Cup final, the Champions League. We're getting into the quarters. And Tottenham, are they getting relegated this season? Ephraim, talk to me. This Arsenal game
Oh,
versus Man
oh,
City that
oh,
just happened.
O'Reilly Auto Parts. Ciao! Two big goals from O'Reilly. Same way, two headers. Um, First one, big mistake from Kepa. Who knows if he's going to get another match after that display? Big game, big final. I mean, it's a Carabao Cup. It's an all right final, but you want a trophy nonetheless. And Kepa was doing it with Chelsea, doing it now with Arsenal. That's just too big of a mistake. You have Raya there. It's never going to happen. O'Reilly punishes two goals within 4 minutes, the exact same play, and that's enough to give City the league. And we've talked about this with Arsenal, man. They just can't seem to find the way to get to the back of the net from open play. And today showed, with the next G of 0.64. No real big chances from what I remember. I know you brought this up a lot, so I want to see what you thought after this game. There's
Yeah, the common issue I find with Arsenal is that they don't seem to win games like really put their mark on the game, like win a game 5-0, like that. You think that their offense is just amazing, their defense wins them games. And we saw it again today where Man City was not letting them do anything, and it showed. Sure, they if you look at the stats, right, three big chances on both sides. You can't really say that the three big chances that Arsenal had were the same three big chances that Man City had. Man City's three big chances were, two headers that were in the box. The chances that Arsenal had, they had one early on. They had another one when Gabriel Jesus kind of swings a header back in, and I think he's trying to cross it again, but it ends up going on target and hits the crossbar. And so yeah, I mean, realistically, Arsenal didn't show much this game, and it's kind of been a common theme throughout this season. Liverpool, they couldn't score them against them at all this season. Man City, the earlier in the season they tied 1-1, and it was a goal like in the last minute. Uh, it's just Arsenal needs to figure out something, and it has to be in the development of just chances created. I think that they do create a significant amount of opportunities, and I don't know. Maybe it's just the the teams that they're facing are overloading the box, and they're not letting Arsenal kind of play fluidly. They're not opening up the gaps for them. This Man City team was perfect. I mean, if you saw the Champions League games, you would have thought, oh, Man City's going to lose this game. The way that they've been playing, all the injuries that they have in their defense, but they didn't need that. Their midfield was so good because they didn't give Arsenal the opportunity to breathe. Arsenal couldn't even get out of their own half. Most of the game was just kept out holding the ball and trying to find a person to pass to. And Man City was just amazing in the way that they were defending and creating that just pressure in Arsenal's own half, and it showed because Arsenal had nothing this game, and it's worrying for Arsenal because they were on the line of getting a quadruple this season. Now with this game, sure, they're first place in the league, but later Arsenal and Man City will face again in the Premier League, and that could be the game if they play the exact game again, where Man City beats them. We're talking about potentially flipping the script on the Premier League. Maybe they lose out on the Premier League, and so on and so forth. So it's definitely something that I think Mikel Arteta needs to. I mean, I've been saying it for months. What are you gonna do? I mean, you gotta do something about this offense. It's not working.
Yeah, and going into this game, it just kind of looked like Pep just had a real strategy coming into this game. Like you saw the way they would line up when Arsenal had the ball. Pep kind of knew they were gonna just play it out the back, so Pep told his players, "Hey, I want everybody high press." You would see, when the goalie had the ball, they wouldn't necessarily press the goalie, but they would line up right along in front of the defense of Arsenal, You had Holland there, Emmanuel Doku, and probably like Cherky just lined up in a straight line. So it was they wouldn't really let them play at the back and forcing Arsenal to kind of throw long balls. This wasn't really winning them. You know, you're not gonna be um, Akira Kusanov on those headers. They weren't really holding them that well. They would lose the ball. Now Man City would have possession. So it looked like Pep's strategy just worked to perfection. It was just kind of seemed like they just did what they've been doing. They stuck to. It has been working. Obviously, the first place of the league, they got to the final, but just City came in with the strategy ready for this Arsenal team, and they dominated because of it. You know, so this could be a learning experience for Arteta going into the next City game. All right, we know what they, it's a big chess game. You know that we know what they're capable of defending us. Now, how can we counter that? Maybe it's a learning experience. But yeah, it just looked like Man City were the more prepared team, and thus just being the better team and taking the dub. But yeah, I mean, for Arsenal, like you've been saying this whole season, not scoring from like open play, their defenders having just as many goals as their offense. It's not a good look, you know. And we know defense wins you games, could win you leagues. I mean, if you look at the year Chelsea, like they went, what was it, like less than 20 goals getting scored on the whole season or something ridiculous like that. But they also had an offense. You know, they had Drogba just who was a lethal threat. They were leave the defense and shaking in their boots. But you don't really have that at Arsenal. You know, you want to say Saka, but his numbers are not there at all. Havertz just came back. Jokeres signing of the year hasn't been putting up the numbers. Really, you have Trossard and the whole defense pretty much scoring off corners. So will they win them the league? I mean, so far it looks like it. You know, defense wins you leagues. I don't know if it wins you Champions Leagues though. You in a game where you have to score, um, Arsenal could run into some trouble. They can't just be relying on corners. And you said they were going for the quadruple. That's done. What's next? They could lose FA Cup, Champions League. Those are just there's still a long way to go. Premier League, I mean, it's looking good for the Premier League. Um, but yeah, I mean, do you think after this start of the season, if Arsenal only win the Premier League, surely it has to be considered still a successful season, right? It's the Premier League. Even if you only get 1 for 4, it's the main one. I feel like.
Yeah, I think if it's just a cup, like an FA Cup or a Carabao Cup, it's not enough. But you haven't won the Premier League in 22 years. It's time, right? Champions League or Premier League, I think either one of those titles coming to Arsenal's way would be considered a success. But again, like I said, if it's a cup, it's not enough. So I mean, Mikel Arteta does not come across as a person who's going to be like, okay, let's just protect the Premier League. Let's rotate in the FA Cup. Let's rotate in the Champions League, or not take it so serious. But the Premier League is our priority. I don't take Mikel Arteta for a person like that. I think he's going for all the competitions. And, sometimes when you put all your eggs, or you spread yourself too thin, you could end up cracking, and end up losing everything. I think what comes to mind is I'm something probably very personal to you. The Liverpool season where they went for everything and they ended up with just the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup. They were in the final of the Premier League and they got second place. No, they were in second place in the Premier League and final in the Champions League. So they had it right there in their hands to get the quadruple, and it slipped. And we were talking about a Liverpool that was, oiled and primed, and we saw how strong their offense was, how strong their defense was, and we're talking about an Arsenal that's just really defense. So how likely is it for them to get, compete in all four of the considerably the hardest competitions in the world. I mean, it's the Champions League, obviously the hardest competition in the world, and then the Premier League, arguably the best league in the world. It's hard, and Arsenal does have the depth for it. And they did have some injuries coming into this game. No Eze, no Odegaard, so they had to start Havertz, who just came back from injury. How informed is he? You know, so you can make that argument, but at the end of the day, it did the ball didn't even come to Havertz. That's how good Man City was today. So it's going to be difficult. I think that Arsenal should definitely push for everything, but towards the end of the season, maybe come May, uh, there's going to be decisions that need to be made as far as, are we going for the Premier League? Are we going to go for everything? Premier League has to be the priority, though, over the Champions League, I think.
Yeah, especially because City are out of the Champions League. That's less games they got to play. Their main focus now is probably the Premier League, and they could rest players and they could just focus solely on that. Obviously, you still have the FA Cup, but Arsenal's still in the FA Cup. They're still in the Champions League. They're competing for first place in the Premier League. They're gonna have to be smart, and be tactical about this because you can't play your starting 11 every match. Hence why we kind of entering this new era of having deeper squads for these situations. Rotation, just making sure everyone's healed, not injured. Prepare if somebody does get injured, things like that. And with City being out of the Champions League now, just means they could focus on the Prem. Arsenal could have some trouble, like you said, if you wear yourself out thin, then you could crack. And if you put all your eggs in the Champions League, they go in, causes them to lose a couple matches in the Premier League, so they could, save their players for the Champions League games. City's gonna come in hot. They're not gonna stop, especially because that's their probably their biggest focus right now. Um, so they're just, they're not gonna stop. Um, so yeah, Arsenal has a big, 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 big 2 months coming up. I want to talk about City for a little bit, just because, I mean, after really just not really putting up a fight against Real Madrid, I didn't expect much from them going into this final. I know it's a Carabao Cup final, whatever. Um, but both teams still took out I mean, pretty much their A team, besides, Kepa and a few others. But besides that, everyone else is pretty, first team quality. Um, so I didn't expect much from City, especially after that. Arsenal got first in the Champions League. They're first. They're looking good. Real Madrid has been a little shaky, but for Real Madrid to still smack City and then City to come do this to Arsenal, um, you do. What do you see in this? Any change of City's playing style, or is it just different quality, different league, different? What's your thoughts behind that?
Yeah, I think that maybe because of that Champions League exit from Man City, that they had to win this game, right? Like, this was more important than it was for Arsenal. Arsenal was probably going into this game like feeling on top of the world. We just got a big gap, like, just considering what Man City had gone beforehand, right? Like you
Mhm.
mentioned, after them losing to Real Madrid in the Champions League, you did not expect this much from Man City. On top of that, the dropped points in the Premier League, right? Creating that gap. It almost seemed like Man City was not coming into this game looking good at all. So in Arsenal's head, they probably came into this a little bit more confident. And then on the flip side, Man City's a team of winners, right? You know, most of this team won the Champions League with them, right? Um, Man City is just a team of winners. Losing those points in the Premier League, losing the opportunity to continue in the Champions League, definitely put something in them where it was like, fuck, it's now or never. If we lose this, we're losing everything, right? We lost the Champions League. We're losing out in the Premier League. Then we lose the Carabao Cup final. We only have the FA Cup, and they're gonna play Liverpool next. So they're probably thinking like, it's now or never. We need this more than anything. So I think they had a little bit more of a plus going into this game, like emotionally. I think that Arsenal, although the first goal was an error, they were getting dominated. So it wasn't like much of like Arsenal was putting up much of a fight. And I think that Arsenal was going into this game with the tactic that Real Madrid did, and instead of playing their own game. And Man City came into this game knowing that Arsenal likes to build up from the back. That's their strong point. Let's just nullify that, and it worked out for them. It's a game of chess. Sometimes you think, right, like we're gonna attack this point, and we practice all week thinking this is gonna be the tactic, and come game day, they flip the script on you, and that's how they win. So ultimately, this game was pretty even. That first half was extremely boring. It was just long ball and defense would recover, and then long ball, and then defense would recover. So over and over and over again. That second half, Man City came in hot, and I think Arsenal was not expecting that, and that's what made the difference this game. But I mean, questions have to be asked. I think we've already mentioned it. Sound like a broken record, kind of. Questions have to be asked on the offense part of Arsenal.
All right. Well, GG's City. 1 out of 4. 1 out of 3 for them. But first trophy out the way. Carabao to City. Um, don't hate it. Don't hate it. So moving on, we give them their flowers. Who won it last year?
The Carabao Cup, I want to say, I don't know. I could probably find out right now, but if you want to talk about the Champions League while I look it up.
Okay. Yeah. Moving on to Champions League. So about our predictions, we got 6 out of 8 because I think we had the same predictions. The ones that we did get wrong were uh, City, Real Madrid, and Bodo Glimt. Which uh, out of all the games, that was the only real close one because yeah, Bodo Glimt being up 3-0, Sporting coming back, um, in a crazy fashion, ties it up 3-3 extra time. And they get 2 goals in extra time. They have momentum. They're already up 3-0. It's unfortunate to see Bodo Glimt go out. I was rooting for them. And they looked good that first game, but it is what it is. They're out now. Sporting finished top 8 for a reason, and they showed him was good. But yeah, different. I guess this was one of the most goals in a quarter playoff. You want to call it, in a while in the Champions League. I mean, Bayern won 10-2, PSG won 8-2, 5-1, 8-3 Barca, Atletico Madrid 7. But the real shocker is the amount of just how they made the Premier League teams look. I mean, we're over here saying Premier League is arguably the one of the best leagues out there. We go try to show it in the Champions League, and most of these Premier League teams are getting skunked by the other teams that we're not really rating because they're in a worse league. So it's not a good look for the Premier League teams, especially the way they went out, just getting destroyed by a lot of these teams. Um, could be many things. If you look at PSG, their league is like, hey, bro, you want a rest day, bro? We'll give you a rest day so you can focus on Champions League. It's not the same thing. You're not gonna get that in the Premier League. You want a rest day, you can fuck off. Because we got our game to play. We need those points. So they're gonna play those games. You can't say the same for La Liga. They're still playing their games. But yeah, the only two Premier Leagues to pass on are Arsenal and Liverpool. The best teams in England. And then yeah, besides that, I mean, we got some good games coming up. PSG, Liverpool. Is Arnie Slot gonna get his lick back from last time? PSG said the best team we faced all season was Liverpool, so now we got to put money where the mouth is. Real Madrid Bayern, that's gonna be a really good one. Battle of the Titans on that one. Um, Barca Atletico Madrid. Feel like it's like the seventh time we see that game being played this season. And then Sporting and Arsenal, which I mean, I guess it's Gyökeres going back to that's where he came from, right? Sporting? I'm not tripping? Yeah, right. He's going back to a little homecoming, so nice and sweet. But yeah, anything you really want to talk about the games? I feel like they were pretty one-sided for the most part, you know?
It was definitely, well, I guess coming back to your earlier point, it was the Carabao Cup final last season was Liverpool Newcastle. Newcastle won 2-1.
Oh,
But
yeah.
this Champions League run was definitely okay. So we got 6 out of 8, right? So we were on the money essentially. I mean, Bodo Glimt kind of got fucked over. I think that last play wasn't, in my opinion, wasn't a penalty, or it was a very very soft penalty, and I think that would have Bodo Glimt would have ended up going through. The Man City Real Madrid game was the biggest like what the fuck moment, I think, just because of like Valverde's hat trick and just
What a
and
hat
the way
trick,
that
man.
yeah, and then the way to score a hat trick, right? It wasn't like just tap ins or anything like that. It was
No,
definitely
crazy.
like just that was Real Madrid's essence, right? Like we don't necessarily need to have the best tactics, but we have the players to just give you those moments. Unfortunately, moments like that don't always happen. So, I mean, versus this next game against Bayern, I think that Bayern's gonna really, give it to them. But the thing that was kind of like the biggest like shocking moment was the mismatch in games, right? Newcastle Barca, the first game was 1-1, and it was because of a last minute penalty that was a very, 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 very stupid penalty to concede. Because it's the game's over. Just put the ball in the other team's half and control the game on that side. Don't let them come and attack you. But then going into this game, it's like if the first half finished 3-2, it was an open game, but it was a close game. And then the second half, they just pulled out their dicks and did it to them.
Legs wide open,
The
man.
yeah, and the Tottenham game, I mean, unlucky to have that start that they did. Nobody would have really expected that, but that's Tottenham. I mean, they just lost today to Nottingham Forest 3-0. I'm sure we'll get into that later, but these games were very weirdly one-sided and something that you wouldn't expect from the Champions League, because the Champions League is the best of the best, right? So you would expect them to be like a little bit of an even playing field. But yeah, I mean, teams got exposed.
Yeah, they did. They did. And then we won't even talk about PSG Chelsea. What I thought was interesting, like you brought up with Barca and Newcastle, similar to similar to PSG and Chelsea. I mean, they didn't have a. It was a close first game, you know. Um, what other game was like that? I think it was that Liverpool too. They were
Arsenal
down
tied
1-0
1-1.
first one. Second game halftime, they were. I think it was still 0-0, right? I can't
No,
remember.
Soboslai
Almost
scored
had
early
already
on.
scored, right?
Yeah, but it was tied at that point, 1-1 essentially.
Yes, okay, so that's what it was. They were tied at halftime 1-1. Second half comes in and then they just score within the first 15 minutes 3 goals, you know? So it was like the last quarter, it was just very one-sided for a lot of these games, which were just, came super late. I think the class just showed tired legs, showed, who the daddy really was. And that's what happened to Barca. Pretty much about it. But yeah, I mean, I think we got some interesting games coming up. You said Bayern is going to give the wheelie to Real Madrid. I mean, I said the same thing about City Real Madrid. So I think Real Madrid is just a different force to be reckoned with in the Champions League because one thing about Bayern, all right, they're looking really hot right now. You know, they're scoring goals for fun. They've been like that all season. They play Arsenal. They can't figure them out. I think Arsenal wins. And yeah, this is coming from a Bayern that just like right now looks strong. You know, you can score many goals. But they do have like a kryptonite. You know, they're not undefeatable, and um, just like we saw with Real Madrid and City, we could see another case of that. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Real Madrid beats Bayern. Like, I think Bayern is one of top two teams right now. Um, but they, when's the last time you seen Bayern in a final? You know, it's been a while. You know, there's not. They're just like they look good every year. They look good every year, and then they just don't make it. You know, they fall short of expectations. And just the Arsenal game, I mean, yeah, Arsenal was looking good. They've been good all season. Um, but for Bayern to just kind of get shunned out like that to an Arsenal team, um, yeah, it's just kind of lets you know that they're not perfect. They do have some sort of flaws that can be figured out, and they could be beaten. If Real Madrid is going to be that team or not, not sure. PSG Liverpool, so that one's going to be really tough. That's going to be a tough game because PSG likes to show up during these quarterfinal games. They just smacked Chelsea, but we talked about this before. PSG was having an iffy season. I don't know if that's just because they just show up on quarterfinal days or what, but um, this is a game that we saw last year, and it panned out to go to penalties. I wouldn't be surprised if we see something similar again. I don't think PSG. A lot of people are saying PSG is going to smack Liverpool, which you know, I don't blame them. The way Liverpool's been playing this season, very inconsistent. But I've noticed when we're good, we're really good. And against Galatasaray, that's probably one of the best football I've seen from us play all season. And then we go and lose to Brighton. So again, very inconsistent. But if we catch PSG on a good day, they're getting the whole dick. And PSG, you could say the same about them. They'll lose a league game and then fuck up Chelsea 8-2. So it's just who has a better day at the end of the day, a better game at the end of the day. And I don't know. I mean, obviously I'm a big Liverpool, but I really do think Liverpool can make this happen. And I know a lot of people won't agree, but I guess we'll see. But yeah, what do you think about those first two games? There's the left side.
Uh, from the left side, top to bottom, I guess Liverpool, PSG. On paper, right? It's PSG Bayern going through to the semifinals, right? But what you're saying and what I said earlier was that moments can kind of change games in the Champions League. If Liverpool has their moment, they could be PSG, and if Real Madrid has their moment, they could be Bayern. It's very difficult. I'm more logical in the sense of this is going to be a easy pick Bayern PSG going through. The reason why is just my brain just can't see it like that. That Real Madrid or Liverpool could go through. I think if anybody has a better opportunity, it's the Liverpool side of going through. I think Real Madrid has no chance against Bayern, and that's coming from a Real Madrid fan. Um, I don't know. Maybe I'm just hurt because they got rid of Xabi Alonso because I was a very very pro Xabi Alonso person, and I think that Arbeloa does not know what he's doing. And kudos to him, he was able to beat Man City, but I feel like that's false hope at the end of the day. Like you could do good at one game, but that's not going to necessarily mean that your season's saved. And I think that Real Madrid fans can be a little bit, fans in general can be a little bit naive to the fact that like, oh, we're so back because we had one good game. In reality, no, you just had one good moment and you got lucky. Um, Football has become so tactical and so like analytical and so much down to the numbers and every little second counts and how do we take advantage of this and that. I think Bayern is just, this is the Third Reich. This is Germany taking over all of Europe again, and I think PSG, I think PSG is although the reason why I think that Liverpool has a better chance of going through than Real Madrid is because PSG's had a lot of injuries and who knows what kind of PSG we're going to see. Their offense is good, but it's not what it was last season, right? With Ousmane Dembele and Kvaratskhelia and Desiree Doué just killing it. Desiree Doué and Dembele this season have been getting injured and just not finding their form. So if it could happen, it's going to happen now, I guess, for Liverpool. The thing about Liverpool is, again, like you mentioned, like losing to Wolves, losing to Brighton recently, like that's not signs of somebody who could make it to the Champions League final. So I think it's more up there. My brain's telling me PSG Bayern going through, and I guess for me, that just makes sense logically. That's the argument that I'm gonna make, because I think that football has gone past the point where it's just moments can take you all the way. Because you could argue like, oh, what about Real Madrid season back when they came back against Bayern in the semifinals and they ended up winning it, or when they came back against Chelsea and Man City and they ended up winning it. But we're talking about a team that was under Ancelotti. So as much as you want to say that those were moments, Ancelotti was the person who was able to create those moments. Arbeloa is not Ancelotti. So for those reasons, I'm saying Bayern's for sure into the semifinals this Champions League run, and I'm gonna lean more towards PSG. Although I don't doubt that someone like Soboslai, um, my boyfriend, if I was gay, he knows it. We know it, but he's the person that's gonna change the game, and so um, I think ultimately it's going to be a PSG game just because their midfield is so strong, and it depends on what kind of midfield Liverpool rocks. But yeah, I
So
think
who you
that
got coming out
Liverpool.
of that?
I got PSG coming out of it because I think that PSG is better away from home than Liverpool is away from home,
And you got Bayern?
and I got Bayern.
All right. Well, I guess I'll make my predictions. Um, Bayern for Real Madrid, just because Bayern's looking too strong. Arbeloa, new manager. Is Mbappe back yet? Should be back, right?
He should be back, but still, I mean, when Mbappe plays with Vinicius, it's either Mbappe show or Vinicius show. It's never them together. So that's like the biggest thing that worries me.
I love Mbappe. I think he's a game changer kind of player. He can really make the difference. Like I said, peop- a team could have their moments. Logically, Bayern makes most sense, but Mbappe could just score a hat trick and uh could shut out this game. But I'm gonna go Bayern on this one. Liverpool, I got Liverpool mainly because we're not gonna win the Premier League. It just kind of seems, I watch every game. It just seems like they really want this Champions League, like, and I can feel it with Arnie Slot too. He's just a lot more, um, not dynamic. He's just more, he just I can't think of the right word, but like when the Champions League games are there, he's more live. He's more, emotionally expressive. He's just more attached to these games versus all the other games I'm seeing. So it just kind of seems to me like they really want the Champions League. They're putting all sort of say like their focus on that, all their eggs in that basket because we know we're not gonna we don't have a chance at the Premier League. Obviously, we're still fighting for top four, top five, whatever. But I think they really want their Champions League. So I think just because of that, they want it. Obviously, I'm not saying PSG don't want it, but they just won it last year. They won a lot last year. Um, you kind of see a lot where they just kind of get like second season hangover. Luis Enrique already said he's leaving at the end of the season. Um, it's at the end of the day, it's going to come down to who wants it more. I think Liverpool are going to want it more, and they're going to come out on top come second leg at Anfield. So I got Anfield or Liverpool versus Bayern. But on to that second side, um, Barca, Atletico Madrid, Arsenal, and Sporting. So I'm gonna go first because um, I think this one's just gonna go. I'm not gonna say too much. Barca Atletico is gonna be on for me a coin toss, but I'm like 55-45 Barca, mainly because Rafinha's looking good now. He's back. Lamine Yamal, what a player, man. He's a beast. And I'm not even a Barca real fan, but I just love Lamine Yamal, man. He's such a baller. But now that Rafinha's back, they're cooking, man. They're cooking. So against Atletico Madrid, they have their history. I think Atletico Madrid knocked them out earlier, the Copa del Rey. So I wouldn't be surprised if they, run it back. But I feel like this time Barca's gonna get the better luck of the stick this time, and they're gonna figure them out. Lamine and Rafinha are gonna cook. and they're gonna come up on top of this one. Arsenal Sporting, I mean, Arsenal's defense is gonna win in this game. Sporting, um, they did good against Bordeaux Glimt. They've finished top 8. They're a good side. I just don't think the Portuguese league is that is at that level of competitiveness compared to some of these higher leagues, like the Premier League, and just the depth, the quality and players of Arsenal. The way they've been playing is they're just gonna keep them from scoring, score a couple goals, secure the dub, nice and easy. You got Barca and Arsenal on that side of the bracket.
Yeah, I'm gonna say the same thing. I think it's more Barca than Atletico than how you have it, just because in the Copa del Rey, Atletico had their moment where they beat Barca 4-0. And I'm watching that game. It was mostly just mistakes in the first half. And Barca does have a tendency to have too much of a high line on their defense, right? They defend way too high and they create the space for Atletico to take advantage and ended up beating them 4-0. Same thing when they played Sevilla earlier this season. They have such a high line that it could lead you to those type of games. But what was the biggest thing for me was that second leg. Atletico Madrid almost lost it, and so it doesn't really give you the faith that they could really continue on and do it in the Champions League, especially. So I'm leaning more towards Barca. The Arsenal Sporting game I think is the biggest mismatch in this Champions League. Again, Arsenal got pretty lucky. Their side of the bracket, they have the biggest team is Barca, and I think that if you know inevitably will be Barca Arsenal, I think Arsenal will actually get the better of Barca just because their defense is so much better than Barca's defense. But anyways, I'm getting ahead of myself.
That's gonna
Yeah,
be a good game, man.
Barca Arsenal is my prediction for the other side.
Yeah, this is leading up to a good Champions League, man. Just Barca and Arsenal themselves, like a really attackive team versus a very defensive, solid team. Who breaks first. I think those two games, especially the way Barca do things, that high line, if done right, brilliant. But it's almost like a two-sided sword, because all it takes is one player. All it takes is one smart forward to time his run to perfection. You're 1-on-1 with the keep. And I feel like Arsenal, maybe not Gyökeres. Maybe Gyökeres could probably be more like almost like a decoy. You throw in Martinelli with that pace, just send a through ball, thinking it's going to go to Gyökeres. Highline goes up, Martinelli comes in out of nowhere. Something like that, we might see. And then you're just going to have Lamine and Rafinha trying to cook up the defense. Very solid, but these guys have the quality for it. Uh, it's cooking up to be a good bracket. Obviously Arsenal doesn't have the toughest of quarterfinal and quarter, but um, I don't know if they fully have what it takes to beat Barca. It's going to be, it depends a lot these next couple weeks. It's going to be good nonetheless. On the other side, they need no introduction. PSG, Liverpool, Real Madrid, Bayern. Obviously, we're going to have bangers on bangers, and I'm all for it. Um, yeah, if there's any people out there in LA who trying to watch the games, we might make some trips out there for some games. They have pubs for soccer games like these. Definitely gonna try to go as many as we can this year and just have a good time. Enjoy the beautiful game. Um, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see. There's still a couple weeks left before these games play out. International break. I think next week we're gonna start talking about the World Cup. Now that we're getting more of an idea of the teams that the countries are gonna get. Um, See, if they're missing out on anybody, like England with Trent, but um, we'll get to that next week. But yeah, I mean the Champions League is cooking. Anything else you want to say about the Champions League?
No, I mean it's gonna look good. I mean, it's the luck of the draw, but it kind of seems a little bit like the left side's a little bit. harder than the right side. But it is what it is. I mean, we'll see what happens come May.
Come come May. Yeah. So did you want to talk about Spurs?
Well, I just wanted to mention it. I mean, they lost 3-0 against Nottingham Forest, a direct rival competing for that relegation zone. Luckily for Tottenham, West Ham dropped points against Aston Villa, which kept the relegation zone the same. But yeah, I mean, losing 3-0 to Nottingham Forest, it almost seems like this Tottenham is not doing anything. If you look at their last games, they've
Damn.
just been losses, just losses in the last couple of games. I mean, they beat Atletico in the Champions League, but the game was really decided. And that's another thing that scares me about Atletico coming into that Barca game. It's that they kind of do good the first game and then kind of don't care about the other game, or do bad the first game and then leave it for the second game against I think it was against fuck, I'm forgetting the Belgian team that Atletico played against to get into the Champions League
Bruges,
playoffs.
no?
Yeah, Club Bruges. They like tied the first game and then they left it all for the second game. So yeah, they just seem a little bit inconsistent, and I think Barca is a little bit more consistent when it comes to
Mm-hmm.
just their games and such.
Yeah, no, I feel it. But yeah, Spurs. I mean, this Nottingham game was supposed to be, kind of like like a relegation battle. Like this is a game you show up. I saw that a bunch of fans, Spurs fans, welcomed their team. Just cheering them on. All the Spurs, and then they lose 3-0, bro. Like, come on now. And their record right now is shit. They've tied one in the last five. The rest have been L's. They play Sunderland next, who honestly Sunderland has been surprising and doing really good. I like what they have. They just beat Newcastle away. So I don't see Spurs beating Sunderland. Luckily,
Especially at
West Ham
home.
lost. Huh?
Sunderland at home too. So Sunderland's super
Yeah,
strong at
tough.
home. So it's not looking good. And then you
That's a
have
tough
Brighton
battle.
next. You have Brighton next, who is very who could beat the bigger team. So well, maybe they'll lose this game because Tottenham is shit.
Yeah, they only lose to the, yeah, exactly. But yeah, I mean, is Brighton home or away?
It's gonna be Tottenham home against Brighton.
Okay, yeah, Brighton home's pretty tough. Sunderland home for sure tough. Um, I think it's just gonna come down to up to West Ham, really. Like they play Wolves next. You expect? I mean, if Sunderland beat Spurs, if West Ham beats Wolves, they go above them. Spurs will be in the relegation zone for the first time, I think, this season. Like actually on the red line. So damn, we might see a world where the Spurs get relegated, bro. Because yeah, like you said, it doesn't look like Spurs are doing anything. So we'll see. A big W for Nottingham. Good to see, just because our boy. Uh, no, he don't. I'm thinking of Fulham, but yeah, fucking. We'll see. We'll see what's good with Spurs. But besides that, just a quick. Hace frío en la cima. Hace frío en la cima. Chivas first place in Liga MX right now, and it's a good time to be alive. You see my banner over there, Chivas. But yeah, I know you're happy, ecstatic. It kind of puts pressure on us, which is unfortunate, just because I mean, your first place, you expect good things, and the thing with Liga MX, there's not just like a league who has the most points. If you're unaware, they do league top eight, or you explain it because it's a little confusing.
Yeah, so it's top eight goes to the playoffs this season. Usually they have top. Sometimes it'll be like top four automatically gets playoffs, and then 5 through 10 have to go through like a playoff phase to get into the quarterfinals. Kind of like the Champions League, how they have like the first eight and then the next 16 go through like a playoff phase. But this season, it's just going to be the top eight. I think it's kind of
Oh, okay.
bullshit. It generates more revenue having playoff system, league phase and playoff system. So that's why they do it. But I think it's kind of bullshit. I think that it would be better just to have first place win it and just have like a traditional league because creates more consistency. But that's a whole nother thing. Chivas is first place, truly so. Dios is chivista, so he's you know doing it's God's work that's that's going on right now. But yeah, I mean, Chivas is just that team that we had two bad games that were. I could go on for hours. I don't want to take it too long, but we're first place, and it sucks that this season because of the World Cup they're gonna take like half of our squad, so we're not gonna have them come playoffs. But we have the depth, and we'll see what happens. And being first place is extremely important because in the Liga MX, a tiebreaker goes to whoever's higher in the table. So being first place is super important because essentially you could tie your way to the final if you're first place.
Wow, yeah, I forgot about that one. Yeah, but looking good, looking good. Unfortunate about the players. um, but yeah, even we're just looking good. We're dominating games. We're smacking teams. So good, good to see that on the other side. But yeah, right now about to watch the Real Madrid Atletico game, the Madrid derby. About to start right now. But I think that's all we got for you guys. Let us know your opinions, your thoughts. If you agreed, leave them down in the comments down below. If you liked it, leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. But yeah,
And
if
also we
not, we'll
have
see you
we
next
got a
week.
we're creating a TikTok page. We made it. I think we're working on an Instagram page, so we'll try to have that link down in the description. Follow us there. We're trying to put out more content. We both work full time. We both have lives outside of this. We do this for fun, but we do want to invest into this, especially coming into this World Cup. So do look out for everything.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Definitely links will be down there. Go ahead and give it a follow. And yeah, we'll probably put some shorts on there, ones that we put on YouTube, and we'll probably be more social on those social medias. So give those a follow. Thanks for watching. So if you stayed this long, and we'll see you in the next one.
Peace.